Boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast. It is so good to have you here. Today's episode is proudly brought to you by our friends at Performance Inspired Nutrition. That's pi-nutrition.com. You want to live a more healthy and active lifestyle? Then PI Nutrition, Performance Inspired, is exactly what you need to add into your daily routine. Whether you want to gain muscle, whether you want to, get that six-pack everybody dreams of, or whether you're going through this COVID thing and we've all been eating things we shouldn't, and we've gotten a little off our schedule, and you want to get back on track, you want to lose weight, but more importantly, you want to do it in an all-natural, healthy way. My friends at Performance Inspired Nutrition have you covered. You can do exactly what I do, and you can drink the Performance Whey protein shakes every morning. They keep me feeling full all day long. I don't want a snack. I don't want to go grab cookies or chips or all that delicious stuff out of the pantry, because when I drink my shake in the morning, I mix 1 cup of the whey protein powder, the Ripped Whey protein powder in mocha flavor to be exact, with 8 ounces of milk. I put it in my shaker cup or my blender and I blend it up, and it keeps me feeling full all day. Plus, it gives me all the natural ingredients, vitamins, supplements that my body needs to help me burn fat, but also give me energy all day long without the jitters. Now, I can't tell you that's important. I've taken some of this stuff in the past that has made my heart race. It's made me very antsy. And honestly, it just didn't really make me feel good. But that's not the case with performance-inspired products. You can even take the metabolism booster like I do every morning, and it just gives you that all-natural energy that you get when your body has the right things that it needs. So go check out my friends at Performance Inspired Nutrition. That's pi-nutrition.com. And be sure to enter code Steve at checkout and get 10% off of your order. We're also brought to you by the Artist Development Academy. For you singers, songwriters, producers, head over to artistdevelopmentacademy.com. And our All Access members every month get a brand new online course. Plus, your membership gets you access to our entire online course library. How to make money with your music, songwriting, teaching songwriting with 5-time CSAC Songwriter of the Year, Reggie Ham, the art of songwriting. You want to learn how to use Machine to make beats and be your own producer right there in your own home? We have an online course for that. Plus, my Artist Development Masterclass lives there as well. You want to learn how to use YouTube and really use it well to grow your audience, gain your following, gain influence, and make money? There's an entire course on YouTube for musicians. It is literally the one-stop shop masterclass for the music business. All areas, artist development, songwriting, production, we teach it all in monthly online courses. Plus, All Access members get access to our members-only forum where you can connect with collaborators, find co-writers. You can ask a pro. You can ask me, hey, Steve, what do you think about this new song that I just wrote or that I just produced? Or you can ask any one of our other Grammy-winning songwriters, multi-platinum selling songwriters, producers, engineers, you name it. We're all there at the Artist Development Academy. Go check it out. Get 30% off your annual All Access membership right now when you use code STEVE at checkout. All the links are in the show notes below, so go check it out. We'd love to have you as an All Access member at artistdevelopmentacademy.com. The music business is dead. And no, I'm not even joking. Well, it's dead for 85% of people that are in it or want to be in it. I'm going to give you the details, but more importantly, we're going to talk about maybe it's dead, but that doesn't mean your career has to be dead. I'm going to give you the ways and the means that you need to know to make money with your music and overcome the death of the music business in today's episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast.
You're listening to the Steve Freeman Podcast, the real, raw truth about the pursuit of success in music, business, and life. Here's your host, hit songwriter, multi-platinum selling producer, and serial entrepreneur, Steve Freeman.
Greetings from Los Angeles, California. Well, actually, more like Manhattan Beach, California. We're about 8 miles south of Los Angeles. This is the area that I absolutely love. I stay in Manhattan Beach every single time that I come to LA, which is quite frequently. I just love it here. And I've said on the podcast and in YouTube videos and on social media many times that we'll be moving here in less than a year. And I'm really looking forward to it. You can't beat the weather. I mean, those of you that are watching the video version, I mean, I've got a golf course out behind me. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. And I know what everybody says about Los Angeles. I got to be honest with you. I find Los Angeles to be much more co-working, a better co-working environment than I ever have Nashville. I've always said and felt that Nashville is a me town and LA is a we town. And I don't know if that has to do with the music business in Nashville versus the movie business in Los Angeles. But out here, I feel like, I was telling somebody yesterday, I feel like out here, because of the movie business, there's so many different moving parts and functions of making a movie. You've got catering, you've got the camera people, the gaffers, you've got sound people, you've got editors, assistant directors, producers, executive producers. I guess what I'm saying is it takes a village, and it's almost like pieces to a puzzle. And what I find out here in Los Angeles is that people are more willing to work with one another and use their pieces to put together to form the bigger puzzle. In Nashville, I've often said that in the music business puzzle in Nashville, instead of people looking for other people that have pieces that might fit their puzzle, they would just rather cut their pieces to fit, because we don't want anyone to succeed. Nashville is a very, very much so a me town. So I enjoy being out here. I really do. I love the people out here. I love the weather. And then you've got the beach. Nashville doesn't have a beach. So I love the beach. So thank you guys for being here. It's a little bit odd. I have to say it was a little difficult getting everything set up today to be able to do the podcast, but I wanted to continue. I did not want to miss again. And those of you watching the video version, you're really seeing something different. We are not in our typical studio. We are in my hotel room right here in Manhattan Beach. What I wanted to talk with you about in this episode is the music business being dead. The music business was dying long before COVID-19. And when I say dying, that doesn't mean that the major labels are not making money, that the major entertainment businesses are not making money, managers are not making money. They are. Booking agents, they're making money. Well, they're not making money right now because there's nothing booked. But that's not what I mean. What I mean when I say that the music business is dead is that, unfortunately, the people in which the success of the business lies is on the songwriters, the individual producers, the people that are creating the next wave of content. There's just not much room for financial gain anymore. We've talked in the past about the fact that the major labels are shutting down their doors. All the songs that they're cutting are written by staff songwriters that are affiliated with that label's publishing company. Artists are putting up walls around themselves, and they're only writing with their friends and frequent collaborators. When you do that, the number of successful artists out there, and songwriters and producers, is a far less number than the majority of people out there. The majority of the people that consider themselves to be, quote unquote, in the music business. For every one successful writer in Nashville, there are 450 to 500 others that are not finding that success currently, but are trying very desperately to do so. So the music business is dying because the people that prop it up are dying. It is becoming less and less profitable for the people that are trying to make the next wave of music. And I know that that's many of you guys out there listening to this. And my goal today is not to be discouraging to you, but to shine a light on something maybe you haven't thought of. And that is a redefinition of who you are as a songwriter, as an artist, as a producer. The day and time that we live in now, I honestly believe, is no longer the day of the professional songwriter or the day of the artist. I think you need to start thinking about a redefinition of yourself. And that is, stop thinking of yourself as a songwriter. Stop thinking of yourself as an artist. Stop thinking of yourself as just a producer. The new term that seems to be going around a lot is content creator. And I actually find that moniker, that tag, that definition to be quite accurate. Whether it's through the Artist Development Academy or things that we've talked about on this podcast or that I've discussed in various YouTube videos on my YouTube channel, I have encouraged you guys to think of yourselves more as content creators. Sure, it's fine to think about this next song that you want to write, but what are your plans for that song beyond writing that song? The days are gone of you writing that song and expecting someone else to be the vehicle for that song. That you're going to write it, you're going to go demo it, then you're going to pitch it to publishers, or you're going to pitch it to managers, you're going to pitch it to labels, and the success of yourself or that song depend on somebody else with more influence being the vehicle for that song. Those days are gone. You need to start thinking of yourself as a content creator first. So when you're thinking about writing this new song, I've got a great idea for this song. What beyond the song, the actual physical writing of the song, is within your control? Can you produce that song? You should be able to. Can you shoot a video for that song? You should be able to. Can you put that song out on streaming platforms and on YouTube and other places? Can you use social media to draw attention to that? Can you set up a camera and make a video about the process of writing that song and how you made the video and how you uploaded it? Can you do that? Is being a content creator. You have got to start thinking outside the realms of writing this song or recording this song. You have got to basically become your record label. You have got to become your publishing company. And if you're not looking at it that way, you are just dying on the vine like everybody else out there, playing a huge and major part in the music business being dead. I hope you guys can see this and I hope you can understand it. The sooner that you realize what I'm talking about is true, because it is. I don't care what example you want to throw at me. I don't care about any of those things. The music business is dead. The entertainment business is alive and thriving. The online content creation business is online and thriving and getting bigger and bigger and bigger every day. So the music business train is slowing down. But there are content creation freight trains that are passing it by at 100 miles a minute. But are you prepared as you sit there, wherever you are, listening or watching today on your computer or your iPhone or your iPad or your Apple TV? Are you prepared to get off of the music business train and hop on the content creation train? There are more people right now making money on TikTok than most even successful songwriters in Nashville. There are more people making more money on YouTube right now than successful artists are making. When you think about the record labels and you think about the major publishing companies and you look at the revenue streams in which they have, isn't it much more a better idea and a much greater idea for you to think of yourself as your own record label, as your own publishing company? What are the different vehicles for the content that you can create, that you can control? Listen, guys, everything is at your disposal. Everything. Those walls we've talked about in the past that used to separate independent artists, independent songwriters, and independent producers from the most successful publishing companies and record labels, those walls have been torn down for a long time. It's just that not a lot of you are taking the initiative to actually cash in on this, because it does take time. It does take financial investment. You have to put yourself in a position to be able to do these things on your behalf instead of constantly wanting somebody else to do them for you. Become a content creator. The job sounds daunting. I know. Believe me, this week I have talked to 4 or 5 different people, and I've told them, it's like, man, I need to hire an assistant. I have needed to hire an assistant or 2 for probably the last 4 years. And I haven't, because quite honestly, there's two reasons, and I'll be upfront with you. One, I've never found somebody that I felt that I could trust. Because in my business and what I do, there's so many different facets to what I do, whether it's the podcast or songwriting or producing records or the Artist Development Academy or making YouTube videos or the management and agency that we own. There's a lot of stuff going on. One reason it's hard for me to find somebody that I can trust to not come into the company, learn all of my intellectual property, and then take it off and use it somewhere else for someone else's benefit other than mine. And that's a very selfish reason, and I don't mind admitting that. It is very selfish, but it's very true. The second reason is that I don't want to spend the money. And trust me, when I'm telling you guys about things like this and about investing in your career, these are the same exact things that I deal with and I battle on a daily basis. I could grow my business 35%. I've done the numbers. I could grow my business 35% if I would spend the money to hire somebody that I felt like I could trust, that would be loyal, that would stick around and not just use me, my company, and what we do as a stepping stone to their next thing. And, you can't really blame people because everybody wants to reach a different level. Everybody wants to go to the next place, the next level. And I understand that. And it's not that I don't want to help somebody get there. But after 25 years in this business, I'm still in growth mode. I'm still in building mode. And I'm going to be in that mode, in that building mode until the day that I die because it's the way that I'm built. And if you think about it really honestly, and sincerely, you're the same way because we're creators. We're builders. We never are going to finish building. We're never going to finish creating. But that's why I think that it's so important for you to adopt a new framework and think beyond being a songwriter or being an artist or being a producer or being an engineer. Those individual jobs are gone. And nobody's hiring for those jobs. But if you have the ability to have a different mindset and wear each one of those different hats proudly, all under one umbrella, under one roof, you can make this happen. I'm telling you, you've got to start thinking of yourself as a content creator. There's some illusion of grandeur when somebody asks, what do you do? You want to be able to say, I'm a songwriter, or I'm an artist, or I'm a producer. Why do we put any less value on the answer to that question being, I'm a content creator? To you, does it make you sound less important? Do you feel like that term lumps you in with so many people that people automatically assume that when you say you're a content creator, that you're not one of the successful content creators? And this is something mentally that I've had to work through myself. And matter of fact, I put this in play on the airplane out here to Los Angeles. And, I'm one of these, y'all know this about me. I'm not a very public person. I'm a very private person. I'm not the guy that's going to walk in a room and start talking to people or seek out somebody to have a conversation with. It's just not who I am. But you inevitably strike up conversations while you're, waiting on the plane to take off and all that. Somebody asks, they see my tattoos and everything. And they ask, oh, what do you do? And normally I say, I'm a producer or I'm a songwriter. But I did this time. I said, I'm a content creator. And they're like, oh, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I got a chance to share about the podcast and got into talking about being a producer and a songwriter and the various things. I'm coming out to LA to shoot 2 music videos on an artist that I'm producing. And it led to a broader, larger conversation than me just saying I'm a songwriter. Now, if I can do that, I know you guys can do that. I cannot stress and tell you guys just how important this really is. Stop thinking that the road to your success has to be one predetermined and defined way. Broaden your horizons. Broaden the way that you think about yourself and the journey that you're on. I'm telling you, you all have the ability. It's a lot of work. It's a ton of work. I have more work than I can't get it all done. And I need people to help. And that's on me. And maybe you're in the same situation. Maybe you're not as far down the road as I am because a lot of you haven't been doing this for almost 30 years. But I'm telling you, if you start right now, if you start opening up your mind just a little and you start thinking in terms of being a content creator and all of the different possibilities that opens, and you stop putting yourself in a box or backing yourself in a corner and saying that I'm not going to feel comfortable about the definition of myself or the definition of the goals that I've set out, unless I can say I am a successful songwriter, or I am a successful producer, or I'm a successful artist. I've sold so many records. I have so many followers on Instagram. Think about this. When you open yourself up and you allow yourself to think properly and most importantly, under the terms of how to find success in the entertainment business today, because like I said, the music business is dead. You got to think bigger. Think of all of the different platforms that you have instead of trying to be successful in one thing. You've got TikTok, you've got Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch. You've got all of these different platforms. Then on the music side, you've got Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play, Deezer. You've got all of these different platforms that you can use as a content creator to grow your fan base, to grow the numbers, to find and gain an audience and influence, because that's ultimately what you are all seeking. That's what we all seek, is influence. The world is a much bigger place. The music business is dead. But that doesn't mean that you can't be successful as either a songwriter, an artist, a producer, an engineer. You just have to start thinking outside the box. And sometimes we find a lot of comfort in those boxes. And although we like to look around, we like to tell people, oh, well, I consider myself outside the box. Sometimes even just identifying that there's a box is, in fact, putting yourself in a box. And it's hard to do because we find comfort in boxes. We find comfort in labels because it identifies us. It tells us where we belong. And sometimes stepping outside of that realm and ripping those boxes apart and erasing those labels or those monikers from the things that we have tied ourselves to achieve our goals, or whether it's perception or reality, sometimes eliminating those things makes us feel very insecure and it feels unsafe. Because we might not be being as successful as we want in this one area, as long as we can define ourselves as belonging to this one clan or this one idea or this one profession, then there's comfort in that. I'm telling you right now, it's time to get uncomfortable. It is time to get really uncomfortable because there are a lot of you out there that are chasing a dream that does not exist anymore. Did it at one time? It absolutely did, and I lived it. I lived it 100%. But that dream does not exist anymore. That destination that you're trying to get to is no longer there. So why spend any more time on that train than you absolutely have to? Get on the train that is actually going somewhere. I talk to so many songwriters and artists, and it kind of, well, it doesn't surprise me anymore. It used to surprise me. It doesn't surprise me anymore that so many of them that I talk to are aiming at what I call in the moment. They are aiming for what's popular right now. And we have a lot of replicators. We don't have very many originators and original people, which could have caused and be a major factor in the death of the music business. Quite honestly, the labels are just as guilty. They look for the next Taylor Swift or the next Keith Urban or the next Blake Shelton or Selena Gomez. Very rarely are we looking for the next person that does not look exactly like the previous thing that we've seen success with. But it is time for originality. It's time for you to accept and have a broader definition of who you consider yourself to be and what your talents are and the plan in which you choose to enact in order to get to the destination that you want. I cannot tell you enough the goal, the dream, the destination that so many of you are chasing right now is not going to be there when you get there. It's not there. So where is the new destination? The new destination is being as multifaceted as you possibly can. The new destination is becoming proficient in many different things instead of just proficient in one. Stop focusing on just songwriting. Stop focusing on just record production. Stop focusing on just being an engineer or just being an artist or just being whatever. You need to learn to become a photographer, a cinematographer, a manager, an agent, a publisher, a songwriter. You need to learn how to do all of this on your own. And it's hard and it's difficult. And I get that. I understand that. But I'm going to tell you something that I have found more valuable to me. And that is, I take so much pride in all of the different hats that I am able to wear. Because one year, and look, I'll just get real honest with you. I'll get base level. There are years, let's just take each one like separately. Take songwriting, for example. There may be one year where I don't make any money at all as a songwriter. Well, I still get residuals and royalties from older stuff, but not enough that you would consider, wow, that can provide for your family. So there are years that go by where that's just not an option. But I might make $200,000 producing records. There may be years that go by where I make a lot of money writing songs, but I don't make any money producing records because I was too busy writing songs. There are years that have gone by where I didn't make any money songwriting and any money producing records, but I shot 16 music videos that made me another $200,000. Or I started an artist management an agency, and we rep and manage a lot of different artists, and we have money coming in that way. Or you own a production company in Nashville and Los Angeles where there are years where the songwriting ain't cutting it, the production isn't cutting it, and the agency isn't cutting it, but we're shooting documentary films as a production company or feature films or television shows or pilots, and we're making money in that way. And I guess I just learned this a long time ago, that diversity and diversifying your professional portfolio is the way to go. It was very difficult for me about 7-8 years ago I just always thought of myself as a songwriter first. I am a songwriter. You ask me what I do? I'm a songwriter. That is and was the beginning and end all for me. But I also came to a point and realized that if I'm going to continue towards this destination, it's not going to be there. So I'm going to have to open up. I'm going to have to do something differently. And when I did learn to do all of these other things and I got involved in all these other areas of the business and in fact, just became a content creator. It may not be and sound as cool to say, oh, that I'm a content creator. May not sound that great. But at the end of the day, do we really care? And I think maybe that's what's kept a lot of you, and I know it kept a lot of me from making a lot of the changes that I needed to make. It kept me from making them sooner because I was wrapped up in the ego and the self-importance and the perception of what it sounded like to be able to tell people that I was a successful songwriter. I know this is a hard decision for some of you. It's hard to think about. But again, the destination you're trying to get to is no longer there. There is no bad thing. There is nothing wrong with broadening your horizons professionally and putting more tools in your toolbox. There's nothing more frustrating than getting a package from Amazon, or even when you've got kids, that bicycle or whatever it is that they want when they're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And inevitably, every single one of those things has to be put together. There's nothing more frustrating than getting that thing and allocating the time to put it together, only to realize that you don't have the right tools. I'm telling you guys right now the way to sum this up. I'm telling you guys right now, the music business is currently a box that you've received that there are no tools to put together. So go put the right tools in your toolbox. I implore you, put the tools in your toolbox. Learn how to do these other things. This is the entire reason I get asked sometimes, Steve, why did you start? Did you start the Artist Development Academy and make a ton of money? No, I didn't. I started the Artist Development Academy to be able to give you guys the tools that you need. Because just being a songwriter, just being an artist, just being a this or just being that is over and it's done. You need a toolbox that has every flathead. It has every Allen wrench. It's got every hammer, every screwdriver, type, shape, model, make, color. You need it all. You need every tool in the toolbox to make this dream happen. So go out and get the tools. You owe that to yourself. You owe that to the goals and the dreams that you have to get on the right train with a full toolbox. Guys, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast. I know today was a little heavy, but it's kind of a message that I've been wanting to talk with you guys about because I just think it's so important that you all learn the different facets of when you open yourself up to thinking beyond the singular definition that by which you define yourself, I guess is the best way to say it. It's time to open yourself up. It's time to look at other avenues. It's time to look at other platforms. It's time to look at other ways in which you can use the talents that you have to help you accomplish a broader, bigger goal. Because like I said, some years songwriting ain't going to cut it. Some years you're not going to produce big records. Some years you're not going to make a lot of music videos. Some years you're not going to engineer a lot of sessions. But somebody that has all the tools in the toolbox can just pick up a different tool. And if you know how to arrange different things, then a content creator makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It's not derogatory. And I think maybe if we start thinking in terms to where you're not embarrassed or ashamed, or you don't have the feeling that telling someone you're a content creator is somehow saying that you are less than or that anything else is more important. That's where you got to get, because I think it'll help you. Well, I'm here in LA for, what am I here? Another 4 or 5 days, 6 days, actually, I think. So those of you watching the video version, things look a lot different. To those of you listening to the audio, probably doesn't sound too much different. Those of you watching the video though, how do you like the new haircut? I'm kind of digging it. I've had the thick beard and the hair for and it's like, man, it was just time to get rid of it. So I'm enjoying it. It feels so much better. That, or maybe it's just the ocean, the sun, and the 70-degree weather out here that's making me feel good. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. I said on social media the other day, last Monday, we hit an all-time high for downloads on the podcast in one day for one episode. And what you guys are doing for the podcast is just amazing to me. We keep climbing the charts. More and more people are coming in and listening. Don't forget to share the podcast with somebody that you love, that you know, that you want them to be able to grow as well. Share it with them. If you haven't already, don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast if you're on Apple Podcast and iTunes. Those written reviews and those 5 stars go so far in Apple's algorithm with them sharing and featuring different podcasts and pushing it out to new audiences. So if you guys could help me with that, I would greatly appreciate it. Head over to Apple Podcast or iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating and leave us a written review. Don't forget to visit our sponsors. You can find them at pi-nutrition.com or artistdevelopmentacademy.com. Guys, until the next time, keep being creative. Keep pressing the boundaries. And there's nothing wrong with being independent. See you in the next episode.
Thanks for joining us for the Steve Freeman Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow Steve on social media at the Steve Freeman.